Hey everyone, Jordan St. Jones here, host and creator of the BorderlineDad podcast. I really appreciate you being here, whether it's your first time, your millionth time, or your billionth time. The fact that you'd come on by and give me a listen means the world to me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks. So, my kids, I have two kids. My 5-year-old daughter has autism. My 7-year-old has dyspraxia. And they're very close. They're very close in age. They're very close. They have a good bond. My daughter cannot go anywhere without my son. She's always asking for him if they're ever separated for whatever reason. Where is he? And sometimes she cries. Sometimes she has a really hard time being away from her big brother. My daughter having autism, she works kind of differently than my son or most kids without autism. She works different. Not a bad thing, And my kids are always trying to take care or comfort the other one. If one is upset, like if my son is upset, my daughter will actually go, "It's okay, bud," and because I say bud all the time, it's okay. It's not his name, but it's all right, bud, like buddy, and she'll pat him on the back, or she'll give him a toy, or even sing to him. Try to sing, and my son does the same. When my daughter's upset, he pats her on the back, gives her a toy, maybe even sings, not as much, but he really goes out of his way to try to comfort her. Like I said, she doesn't act or behave like most kids would expect another normal child to behave. If you have autism, most of the time, at least in my experience, my opinion, there's a lot of things that they don't understand. There's a lot of ways that they act differently, or they react to things, and my son sometimes doesn't understand it. So I sat down with him one day, probably within the past year, and I didn't know how to say, "Oh, she has autism, and that's why she does this or that." But my son is very understanding, and so what I said to him, and sometimes I have to remind him, but I would say, her brain, your sister's brain, just works a little differently than yours. Your sister has a harder time understanding things or knowing what is supposed to happen or how you're supposed to react or anything. And sometimes she needs a little extra patience and love. And we've also been working on patience too. And that's something I still need to work on. But my kids, I've been trying to teach it to them. And it's really amazing because if you have kids, like I said, I have two kids. If you have kids and one has a disability and the other doesn't, or one's disability may be different, whatever your situation is, I encourage you to, if you can, talk to your kids about their siblings or about, whatever you feel comfortable talking about. You don't even have to bring that up. Just say some people, like I told my sons, your sister, her brain works a bit differently. And it's not a bad thing. But I told him that, she needs extra love, extra patience, extra attention. Her brain is wired differently, and that's not a bad thing. But she just, I tried. I found it hard to explain it, but I tried, and I think I got through to him, and now he acts differently in a good way, and he is more understanding. And sometimes if he gets upset when he's trying to help his sister, I'll say, oh, it's all right, bud. I say bud a lot too. It's all right, bud. Just, it's okay. You remember what I said, her brain just works differently. And it's not a bad thing, but she just needs a little extra help. And, that's another thing I've been trying to teach my son, that it's okay to ask for help. I talked about asking for help in therapy or in school, but I encourage him even to ask for help in, if he needs help zipping up his coat, or, once he can dress himself for the most part really well. I'll give him an outfit and he'll just go. But once in a while, his pants, he'll put his pants on backwards. And so I encourage him, if he needs help, just ask. Nothing wrong with that. But I was thinking today about the importance of communication, if you have it with your children. If they are old enough or smart enough to understand, kind of what I talked about, where, hey, your sibling, I love you both equally, but your sibling here just needs a little extra help, extra love, and from all of us, and extra patience. And it's great to see the way my son interacts with my daughter now, and how he kind of takes a little extra step in being careful, and he does what he can to make her happy. But he also doesn't understand that sometimes you just can't make her happy. And really, that's not just with autism. That's with anybody. But, sometimes she'll have a meltdown, and it does not matter what you say or do or offer her or whatever. She won't calm down. And sometimes when she doesn't calm down, my son kind of gets upset, because he, I think, sees himself as a protector. And when he can't protect or calm down my daughter, he gets upset, which I understand. He's always been one to be protective, even of me. When it's hard to talk about, but when his mother abandoned us, he would cry, and he would cry, and he would cry, and I think maybe one time he overheard me crying in the bathroom, and by the time I opened the door, he had zipped back upstairs. But he was crying, and I go, "But it's okay to cry, I'm not crying, Daddy. See, I'm happy." And he would be trying to smile while bawling his eyes out. And that's not okay, because he was 5 at the time. And no 5-year-old should try to emotionally protect his dad. And I know that there were some failings on my part, obviously. But, you live and you learn. So, I talk about all this because I'm kind of curious if anyone who listens to this actually has a way of bringing up things like this with their kids. If they have more than one child, maybe one's a bit older or younger, how do you explain to your child that your brother or sister, they are wired differently, they work differently? I've struggled with explaining it myself, and I probably haven't done the best job of it, but I've done what I can, at least for now, in his understanding. I think when he gets a little older, he may realize kind of more of what it is, why she needs that extra help, and how to really comprehend that, she has autism, I have dyspraxia, this is why I can't do certain things, or I have trouble doing certain things. That's what I hope he kind of grows up knowing, and I hope he asks lots of questions and asks for help. I know that not many people really listen to this yet, but if you do, I would genuinely love to hear from you. Shoot me an email at BorderlineDad@yahoo.com. I haven't checked my email in about 2 days, but I am going to check it now, and I'm going to check it tomorrow, and I'll keep checking it. But I am genuinely curious how you handle explaining, differences and disabilities to your other kids. If you have more than one child with a disability, do they have any self-awareness of what's going on? Or are they kind of aware that their sibling is a bit different, which is not bad? And if they do, what have they said to you? Did they bring something up first? Did you bring something up first? And if you did, what did you bring up? How did you explain it? How do you, let's say you go to a playground, how do you explain to another kid or a parent that your child is acting a certain way because of this, or they don't understand that? My daughter will go up, and it doesn't matter if someone's playing with a toy or a ball, she'll just pick it up and take it, and that's hers. That's what she feels and claims is that is her ball, her toy, and she hasn't quite grasped the concept of asking first if she can borrow a toy. I've tried to teach them the barter system, which I guess is, I don't think it's that bad. For instance, when we're at home, if my son or my daughter is playing with a toy that the other one wants, try offering a trade, offer a different toy in return for that one. And it doesn't always work, but once in a while I can get it to work, and it's just beautiful. I think it's a good skill, teaches them to share, and it teaches them that they can't just take, they gotta give something in return. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. How do you handle that? How do you handle telling not just siblings or relatives that might not know, but parents at a park, other kids, hey, she doesn't sometimes, I'll say, an often thing I'll say is, when we're at the park, I'll go, oh, hey, if there's any trouble, my daughter, she doesn't, she kind of works differently, she has autism, which means that, I say it means that she needs extra help, extra special care, maybe a little love, extra love, patience. And I probably don't explain it as well as I should, or as I could, I guess. I don't know. I genuinely, if anyone is listening to this and has similar issues, I would love to hear from you, because like I've said in a few episodes, I want this to be kind of an interactive thing where I talk, you guys respond. Also, if you know anyone who works in the mental health field, if you know anyone else who has a mental health podcast, I would love to do some sort of co-podcast with them. I'd love to just be able to talk and have someone talk back in real time and record in real time. One of the reasons I like the Anchor app is because I think you can do something like that. You can do like a collaboration. I couldn't think of the word. I'd like to do that. If you or someone like I said, has a mental health podcast or would like to be part of a podcast and maybe set something up, email me, because I want to do more. I want to reach a wider audience. I hope that whatever platform you're listening to this on, you like it, you share it, you do all that, and I would love to hear from you. Another thing is, how do you handle bullying? I know it's a separate topic, but, my son has someone in his class who, it doesn't just pick on him, but the teacher has said that this kid kind of picks on everyone and is just a general jerk. And I'm not trying to call a first grader a jerk, but this kid supposedly, I don't know him, I don't know his parents, but supposedly picks on everyone. And every school has bullies, every class has a bully in it, I think, at least. And it's hard because my son doesn't know about the difference between like a friendship and an acquaintance, a classmate. So he'll say his friend was picking on him or pushing him around or he was picking on one of my friends or my classmates. He's not your friend if he picks on you, but he doesn't understand that. And I've tried kind of telling him about it, but I got bullied, and I got bullied in every country and every state that I went to. And I've lived in 2 different countries. I lived in Panama, and I've lived here in the States now, and I've lived in a few states in the States. So it's hard because I knew that if I ever had kids, they could probably get bullied. And I don't think my daughter does. I can't fathom it. My son has complained that he's been picked on, and I worry a great bit. You can't really reach out to the parents of the bully. You can't obviously reach out to the bully. The teacher can only do so much, and the teachers have a hard enough job as it is. So dealing with a bully, they do it, but they can only do so much. Again, they can reach out to the parents, say, hey, your kid's doing this and that. But again, even the parents only have so much control. They might not have full control over the kid, this bully's parents might be great people. They might be total jerks. I don't know them, so I can't judge them. And I don't judge anyway, but I'm saying I don't judge them in the sense that I can't say like, oh, this kid's a jerk because his parents are. Like, I would never judge anyone. But you know what I mean. But how do you deal with that? Because I could use some advice, actually, on that one. My son comes home, and he'll cry, or he'll act fine. But again, that's the protector in him. And his teacher will email me and say, oh, he had a bad day. He was picked on, and he maybe lashed out, which is, again, understandable. I've been there. I've done that. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that I've lashed out too. You get bullied so much, you can only take so much. But I'll tell my son that sometimes people are just mean. People are just mean, and it's nothing that he did. It's just sometimes people are always angry or mean or they liked to hurt others. It is important, though, that you do teach your kids the proper responses. I grew up in 2 very different households. If you've listened to my past podcast, you'll know that. If you haven't, welcome. Excuse me, sorry. So, one house, if I was bullied or I was upset or whatever, they would tell me, go to the principal, go to a teacher, tell someone. And it's not always the best thing to do, and sometimes you can't always do that if it's like a fight situation, but you can do your best. I talked about in the past how a kid held me up against a wall by my neck. I smacked him in the face just to get down and get to a principal. And I got suspended for 2 days. He got a metaphorical slap on the wrist. I couldn't understand it. Bullying is one of those things, unfortunately, that will always be a thing. People will always be affected by it. Some people will be scarred for life. Some people get it worse than others, but the people that do get it, all bullying is bad, right? I was never, in elementary school, I was kind of physically bullied. And, the teachers and the principals used to piss me off because they would be like, well, why did he do that? What did you do to make him upset? There was always, or I didn't see it. There's always that I didn't see it excuse. And you can have anti-bullying rallies, and you can have these campaigns to end bullying, but it's never going to end, and that's the sad part. It's never going to end. Anyone can be a bully, I think bullies are often stereotyped, but a bully can literally be anyone. I don't know how to handle it properly, though, because, I'll give him a hug, I'll play with him, I'll try to make him happy, distract him, take his mind off it, but I just don't know what to do sometimes. And like I said, it's okay to ask for help, and I'm asking you for help. If you have experiences with bullying, or if you have experiences with your kids being bullied, reach out to me. I want to know. I want to know I want to know how you respond, and what you teach them to do in response for bullying. I mentioned that one house told me to go get a teacher. At my dad's house, however, it would basically be fight. My father would say, never throw the first punch, but be damn sure you finish it, I'm not going to talk about any fights because it's not ever something to brag about or talk about, or I never really won, I never really lost. There's no winners in a fight. Everybody loses. So it's just it was a bad time in my life. I got in several fights in middle school, maybe 1 or 2 in high school, a couple in elementary school, and it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes, but how do you help your kids get through that? How do you cope with it yourself, and how do you get your kids to cope? What do you teach them? What do you say? Tell a teacher, tell a grown-up, what do you do? It breaks my heart. It really does. Because at one point in my life, the bullying got so bad that I didn't want to be alive anymore. I didn't want to feel anything, but I kept on powering through. My thought at some point was, I don't want to let the bullies win. If I do this, the bullies win. So I kept fighting. And I'm glad I'm here. But it's not about me. It's about the children. I don't want to teach my kids to, fight. I don't want my kids to be aggressive. But I think there are also going to be situations where you're gonna have to fight. You're gonna have to. It's not like you're going out of your way, but like when you fight, circle of kids forms around you, or whatever, and you're getting pushed, you're getting shoved, you're getting punched, and I don't think that you should just sit there and take it. I think you should defend yourself. Don't do anything more, though. Don't involve weapons, ever. No knives, no brass knuckles, no guns, ever. Never let it get to that point. If you have to absolutely defend yourself, you should. Take a class, take karate or taekwondo or whatever, and never use what you learn for evil. Only ever use it to defend yourself. Also, if you hit someone and they fall down, don't hop on top of them and pummel them, because that's doing more than you should. If you've gotten them away from yourself and you can escape, get the fuck out of there. Go to the principal, go to a teacher, and kind of go from there. And, there's going to be fallout, obviously. Snitches get stitches or whatever. But you have to fucking do something. I grew up being told to fight most of the time. And my mom was kind of the voice of reason. She was the angel on my shoulder. My dad was kind of the devil on my shoulder, and one would say fight and the other one would say don't fight. But like I said, there are going to be situations where you just can't avoid it. And I mean, that should be a last resort. Don't let it escalate to a fight, Keep walking. Try to walk away. But if you somehow get trapped, you gotta do what you gotta do, But as far as the kids go, like I want nothing but the best for my kids. I think every parent does, and just know that there's going to be times where they might not have wanted to fight, but they had to. My high school, my middle school, it didn't feel like school. It felt like a survival game. Not even a game, really. It wasn't like I had to get through school. It was like I had to survive school. And my senior year of high school, thankfully, I didn't really deal with any crap that much. People had kind of learned that they either shouldn't mess with me, or they learned that, like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I never fought back. I never looked for fights. I mean, I fought back again if I absolutely had to. Somehow I eventually gained some sort of notoriety with the right groups, I guess. And I wasn't popular by any means, but there was some sort of level of respect where, like, all right, man, we're in this together. Like, high school sucks. Everything sucks. Let's just fucking get through this. And, like, I stopped getting picked on at some point. But that was probably halfway through my senior year I stopped getting picked on. And a lot of it, too, was confidence. A lot of it was my mindset, where I didn't give a shit anymore. Like, I knew none of it would matter. And that helped. So, I found, too, that among some groups of friends, they would automatically be dicks or avoid the jocks because they thought that all the jocks were, like they are in the movies, stereotyped as these asshole jocks. And I just went up to one day and I was like, hey, man, that was a pretty cool game last night or whatever. Like, I tried to bond with one of them. Nothing weird, but I was just like, hey, man, like, what was it? It was like lacrosse or something. I never saw any of the games, but I was like, dude, I think you're pretty cool, man. Like, I don't know. I tried to be nice, like, go out of my way, and it ended up working. This wasn't obviously the case with everyone or every clique, but I did what I could to survive. You just got to teach your kids that, bullies bully for a reason. Whether it seems like it or not, they bully because maybe they have their own insecurities. They bully because they maybe are even jealous. They bully because they'll say things like, oh, because it's fun. But there's always some underlying reason, I think, why people bully. And you also got to teach them that, like, ignore them as best you can. If someone is in your face, don't spit at them, don't bite them, don't punch them. If they're in there, just keep walking, man. If they shove you, then they've obviously committed an assault, and it needs to be handled properly. They've just pushed you, and so now they can be the ones in trouble. If you push back, you're going to get in trouble. Now, the only time you should ever fight back in the sense of defending yourself is if they're literally beating the shit out of you. You need to defend yourself. Because you want to be someone who everyone sees doesn't take shit. They will fight back. They are not to be messed with. And they might still mess with you, but they might not physically fight you. They might just call you names. And that can still suck. But, my kids, my daughter, it's hard for her to understand much. But my son, I teach him that, listen, man, bullies are bullies. They're bad people. And you should ignore the bullies. Ignore them. Go get a teacher. Whatever you can, because they cannot get away with it. And you want to avoid a fight. I don't know. I have no tolerance for bullies. I really don't. Look, I'm going to head to bed, but I'll see you all tomorrow.